So the distributed information process is really just about putting the plan into action, thinking about all the different ways that you can communicate with the people who are important to your project. You've got face-to-face meetings. There are all sorts of different communications media available to you. There's face-to-face, there's telephone conversations, you've got email, you've got video conference. I, I would say that the one caution that I have, and I think most of you already probably know this, but be very careful about communicating information via email. I know that there's actually, I think, a tendency to overuse email. Number one, because if you send it in an email, then that provides written hard copy documentation that you had a communication with someone. So there's the documentation benefit. But I also think that there's a tendency to hide behind email and to have conversations, particularly difficult conversations with people where you're needing to provide negative feedback, to want to do those via email because it's easier than having to do it face to face. It's just not a good thing to do. Um, Being able to effectively give feedback, positive or negative, is one of the signs of a good project manager. And overcoming that dislike of providing feedback face to face is one of the things that you just kind of have to get over if you're going to be good at project management. And it's so easy for information that is conveyed in an email to be miscommunicated, for something that's meant to be a joke or that was written sarcastically. You mean it to be funny, but then when the person reads it, it's not. Just some things are better left face to face, but you do have all these different forms of communication media available to you. In terms of the outputs here, I actually feel like I touched on some of these in the last slide when you're thinking about how you're going to go about communicating, but your stakeholder notifications are some of the outputs, letting people know, okay, this issue has been resolved, keeping people in the loop, any of the project reports that you have, where your project status is, have there been any lessons learned from the project. A lot of that happens in more of informal, either meetings or face-to-face communication. Project presentations. If you're going through a stage gate process that has a formal review at the end of the phase, most likely every single one of those phase reviews is going to involve a formal presentation, where you have to put together all of the project information that you have and present that to some sort of review board, or at the very least your project sponsor and some other key people in the organization. All sorts of project records, documentation, going back even to the emails I was talking about just a second ago. Those are outputs of this. Getting feedback from stakeholders. If your customer is unhappy about the way a particular part of the project is progressing, then that information needs to be communicated to the project team, as well as opening up a discussion of how the problem can be resolved pretty much as quickly as you get that information from the customer, because you need to be fast in responding to that and coming up with an effective way to satisfy the customer, or if not satisfy the customer, at the very least kind of calm their fears about whatever this particular issue is. So getting that feedback, and then communicating that feedback to people. And the last piece, just your lessons learned documentation. Lots of times the lessons learned stuff kind of floats around in everybody's head until the end of the project, and then there's part of project closure is kind of having the brain dump of, okay, what did we learn from this project, and what can we take from this project and move forward to new projects. And this is just reflecting on how you could have communicated better, and maybe what communication tools you can put together that you can use on future projects so that the same mistakes don't keep on happening. So that's really what distributing information is all about.